So you want to trade trend lines and you watch a video on YouTube, could be ours, could be other people's one, and you know, it seems straightforward. But what happens is that when you look at the charts, you are confused because you see multiple trend lines, you know, you see a counter trend line and you see a trend line and you do not know what to do. If that's you, then today's video is for you, because in today's Forex trading video, I'll be talking about the trendline trading strategy. Specifically, I want to address the question of what do you do when there are multiple trend lines, okay? For example, you have one trend line that is with the trend and the other trend line is counter trend. What do you do in this kind of scenario? Now, to illustrate what I mean, I want to show you some examples of what this problem is first, just in case you are not too clear about what I'm saying. Then I want to show you the solution. So let's say over here I have two charts. Okay, after this I will just go into the trading view, the charting platform, to show you this problem in greater detail. But for now, let's stick to this two screenshots that I have right here. So you can see that there is a ascending trend line, and you see this trend line and you are keen to buy off the trend line. But at the same time, you see a descending trend line at the same time. So if you've been watching some other videos, it could be ours, it could be, you know, some other YouTuber, it could be a Forex educator you paid to learn, wherever it is. Sometimes they tell you to sell at the top, you know, they tell you to sell at the top of the trend line and buy at the bottom of the trend line. So in this case, what do you do? Right, because there is a ascending trend line and there's a descending trend line, and maybe you're confused. Because yes, it's true that you're supposed to sell at the top, you're supposed to buy at the bottom, but which should you lean towards? Okay, and it doesn't make sense for you to, you know, maybe buy here and sell here because the range is very narrow. So what do you do? Okay, this is the problem. So if you have this problem, then this video will address this. Okay, to further illustrate this problem, I have another example over here. So you can see that this is again a trend line, and in this case, this trend line was acting perfectly, but you also have a descending trend line at the same time. So what do you do in this kind of scenario? Okay, so I want to give you some guidelines as to what you should be doing in this kind of scenario, so that you can apply the trendline trading strategy that we teach, you know, in the right manner. Okay, we recorded a trendline trading strategy video, which is a concept which costs us thousands of dollars to learn. So if you have not checked that video out, please go watch that. Okay, I'll leave a link in the top right, but please go watch that so that you understand how to apply it. Okay, we provide a step-by-step guide on how to trade trend lines. Okay, it's a complete strategy, step-by-step, I walk you through. So there's really no reason why you can't trade or you can't learn a profitable strategy, right, just from our channel. Okay, we have a lot of videos like this. Now, by the way, if you're enjoying this content so far, appreciate you could just like our video, right? We are trying to reach more traders. We're trying to impact more traders. So we could really use your help if you help us to like this video and hit the subscribe icon below, right? Turn on the bell notification as well, so that you will not miss a video that we create just for you, okay? We also prepared a free day trading guide for you. So make sure you download that if you have not, okay? It's totally free. It teaches you how to identify market structure and all those good stuff. So right now, what I want to do is I want to go into the charts to show you the exact scenario that always happens, right? And then I want to give you a solution on how do you solve it, okay? So this is a very common scenario, okay? So let's assume that this is your price, and you know, price been going up, come down, goes up, okay? So you're in an uptrend, and when you draw the trend line, you realize that this point over here is actually a projected support, because you have the trend line. Okay, sorry, let me just try to draw it nicer so that it's clearer. Okay, let me just change this. Okay, let me just change this so that it's clearer. Okay, something like this. Okay, so let's say you were to draw this trend line by connecting this swing low with this swing low, and you're trying to project this potential support over here. And what happens is that if you watch some of our other videos, right, the trendline trading strategy video, we did say that one of the criteria of finding this zone is having a trend line and then combining with a Fibonacci. But that's not the content for today's video, right? Today's video, I want to address the fact that, you know, when you draw this line, this trend line, at the same time, when you see this pattern, you see that there's also a potential, what I call the counter trend line. So this is the trend line that is with the trend, and this is the trend line that is against the trend. So how do you deal with this kind of scenario? Should you be selling here? Should you be buying here? What should you be doing. Okay, so I have 4 guidelines for you. The first guideline that I want to share with you is that you never want to blindly trade trend lines. Okay, you do not want to trade every single trend line. So what do I mean by that? Okay, I see a lot of traders, what they do is they watch a video such as this and they apply it out of context. So what they do is they just, oh, trend line. Okay, so you know, when price comes up to here, they sell. When price comes here, they buy. When comes here, they sell, they buy. And they don't consider anything. They just look at the charts. For example, they just take a chart and, you know, they draw something like this and, oh, there's a trend line. Okay, I try to sell here and then they lose money. And then they do something like this. They do something like this over here. They draw a ascending trend line and again it fails, right? They buy off the trend line and it fails and then they lose money. And then they repeat the same thing again. Then they draw a trend line. You know, maybe they draw it here. And then it fails again and they keep losing money. And then they conclude that trend line trading doesn't work. Whatever we teach is scam. All right, this whole forex thing is a scam. And they get all negative and they give up. So please do not blindly trade trend lines. You still need to identify the market context. You need to identify the price level. You need to identify your buyers. Again, if you do not know what I'm talking about, this is the first video you are watching. I have a lot of free videos on YouTube for you to check out. In our 3-day trading guide, we also teach you the MPE trading strategy. M stands for market condition, P stands for price level, and E stands for entry. Now, in fact, in one of our recent videos, we always say that regardless of which trading strategy you are using, I don't care, it's a swing trading, day trading, scalping, anything, the first step of the equation is always understanding the market context. Okay, so if you do not know what that is, right, download the 3-day trading guide. It's all there. Okay, there's no credit card required. I'm not trying to sell you something, so just go get it. Okay, it will help you a lot. Now, step number 1, or rather guideline is number 1 is that you don't want to blindly trade trend lines. You still want to identify the price action context, right? Then you want to trade alongside the price action context. Guideline number 2 would be you want to stick to the trend as much as possible. So in this example over here, it's a clear uptrend because you have a high. Okay, this is a high. This is a low. This is a higher high and higher low. So if you're in an uptrend, as much as possible, you want to lean towards the ascending trend line. You don't want to go counter trend because remember I said this is the counter trend line. You want to stick to the ascending trend line in this case. So always look at the trend, and that's why I keep emphasizing on the need to look at your market condition to determine whether you're in an uptrend, you're in a downtrend, you're in consolidation. What is the market condition you're in? Then you want to stick towards that. So learn to stick towards the trend as much as possible. Now, the next thing you want to do is you also want to wait for the opposing trend line to be broken. So what happens is that in this case, let me just clear this up so it's clearer for you. In this case, let's say price bounce off this level over here and it starts coming up here. It comes up. Now, the problem with just buying off this level and not taking care of this descending trend line is that price might actually do this. Okay, and you wouldn't want that. So what you want to do is that you want to wait. You want to be patient. Okay, sometimes, you know, a lot of you guys want to trade, right? You want to action, and that's why you guys are not willing to wait. But the correct thing to do is to wait, because what happens is that price may break up or price may break down. You don't really know. So always wait for the opposing trend line to be broken. So in this case, you wouldn't try to take a trade here. You shouldn't take a trade here. You should wait for price to break this trend line, okay? And you can either do the breakout trade or you can wait for it to retest the trend line. And ideally, it will be a confluence between the broken descending trend line and the ascending trend line. This is the ideal case. Sometimes it doesn't happen like that. Sometimes it just goes straight up. But the idea is still the same. You want to wait for this trend line to be broken first. You do not want to just enter somewhere here because price might just go down. Okay, so the same thing is also true if let's say price were to break this ascending trend line and now you're in a downtrend because you have a low, you have a high, you have a lower low, and you have a lower high. So you're in a downtrend now. What you can do is you can wait for a retracement up here, and then you have the ascending trend line as confluence with your descending trend line. So what you are trying to do is you are trying to align both trend line. Okay, so this is a very powerful concept. Basically, you want to align both ascending trend line and descending trend line, both with the trend line and against the trend line. Okay, so just to repeat, right, because it might be a bit confusing, let me just repeat this one more time. So in this case over here, when price hasn't break, you want to be waiting. Okay, if price breaks, you can either do the breakout trade or you can wait for price to retrace. downwards and just very nicely retrace towards the confluence between the ascending trend line and descending trend line. If the opposite happens and price breaks down, then you want to wait for the retracements up, okay, and find the confluence between the descending trend line and the ascending trend line. Okay, what you want is confluence. You want more factors to point towards your decision so that the level that you trade at is a stronger level. Okay, if somehow I'm not too clear about this, just leave a comment down below, right? We'll do our best to address this question because this is not a very easy concept to explain, but I hope you get it. Okay, so that's guideline number 3. Guideline number 4 is you want to avoid trading counter trend. So let me clear this. So this one is very straightforward. Number 2 and number 4 is the same. Number 2 is telling you to do it as in stick to the trend, and number 4 is just the opposite where you want to avoid trading counter trend. So what I mean is that you don't want to take a short here, okay? You do not want to take a short here because there's ascending trend line here and you are in an uptrend. So this is going to be very low probability trade because you are against the trend, and even if price moves down, you're going to bump into support over here. So from a risk to reward perspective, this is not a good setup and you shouldn't be trading like that, okay? So hopefully that is clear. So I want to go back to the PowerPoint slide, and I just want to do a sum up of today's video. Okay, so in today's video, I highlighted this issue over here, whereby you guys want to trade trend lines, but you're confused because you have a with trend line, you have an ascending trend line, and you have a descending trend line. So a lot of you are confused about which trend line to lean towards to. So I gave you 4 guidelines. Number 1 guideline is that you do not want to blindly trade. Okay, you always want to identify market structure first, then you want to trade with the market structure. Try to always trade with the trend. If you are in an uptrend, then try to lean towards the ascending trend line. And if you are in a downtrend, then stick towards the descending trend line. Okay, try to avoid the trading the counter trend line, meaning that if you're in an uptrend, don't try to look for selling opportunities, and if you are in a downtrend, don't look for buying opportunities. Okay, now if you see two trend lines, one is the trend line, with the trend line, and the other is the counter trend line. Always wait for the opposing trend line to be broken. Okay, it could be it doesn't have to just be the opposing, it can be either of the trend line. Earlier on, I gave you an example that sometimes, price can break down. Let's say this is a trend line, and instead of being supported, breaks down, just wait for this trend line to be broken, and you can just wait for retracement up, and you have a descending trend line confluence with the broken ascending trend line. Okay, so not really opposing trend line, just wait for either of the trend line to be broken first and try to align both trend lines together, the with trend line and the counter trend line. You want to align these two so that you have a higher probability trade setup. And of course, the last one, which goes without saying, is the opposite of point number 2 here. It's you want to avoid trading counter trend. Okay, this is something that I keep advocating. If you are new to trading, you are struggling, do not trade counter trend because it doesn't make sense. You're not yet profitable. Stick to the easy trades. Don't make it hard on yourself. Okay, so hopefully you gotten value out of this video, right? I really appreciate it. Just take some time to like this video. It doesn't take you more than 3 seconds, right? Hit the subscribe button as well because we create a lot of videos like to serve you. If you have any questions, just leave a comment down below. We will record a video just to serve you, okay? If not, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.